Welcome to the Vinnie Jones Show. As usual, for all you footy fans, we've got a packed hour. Some laughs and giggles along the way. Have a put us at this lot.
What we're on about is somebody actually going onto the field of play and hitting an official, which is a different thing altogether.
Having come here, the pitch is a lot bigger, the stadium's a lot bigger. The atmosphere is not quite as intimidating for away teams, I think, and maybe that's a little bit why we've struggled a little bit at home this year.
We used to get the likes of Tony Curry, Stan Bowles, Rodney Marsh, and to a lesser extent George Best at that time. They had the shirts out, socks down, longish hair, still got it.
Wait for him! He's fucking 60 up there, not one of you can hold a bastard ball up!
Tonight I'm in Sheffield with those good friends Wednesday and United fans. Now you guys, you are the fans of the moment for the wrong reasons, as it was one of your lot allegedly, although he comes from Eastbourne. I don't know if any of you know him.
You're a Southampton fan, actually.
Got lost on that. Ended up in Portsmouth for the day.
Definitely.
I mean, how did you feel? Were you at the game?
I wasn't there personally, but the lad is not a Sheffield United fan, is he? A real Sheffield United fan. We don't do that sort of thing. We don't condone that sort of thing. Unfortunately, we're going to be tarred with a brush now, you know. But it's a problem that any club could have. Everybody can't legislate for idiots. If the club, Portsmouth, would have had better stewarding, then that wouldn't have happened, would it?
I think, to be honest, I think it opens a big can of worms with stewarding in general anyway, because we've been to certain grounds where stewarding as opposed to policing has been ordered at day, and it's been terrible, to be honest. I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, what kind of people do stewarding anyway?
Yes.
You know, I mean, you ask yourself that question. Yeah. And there's been
slightly anorexic, want to get in to watch the game free.
Exactly.
Yeah. More than likely. I mean, do you think that this is happening? You would be seeing probably less money. It is the nationwide league clubs who are trying to save money because it's cheaper to employ stewards than the local police.
Well, definitely. I mean, so as Kevin says, the standard you're getting, the job they're doing, it doesn't warrant that. You're better off paying the extra money and getting the job done properly. And anybody who can get all sanctimonious about it being Sheffield United fan, it could happen to any club in the country.
But it didn't.
No, but it could do it. It can't.
It has. I mean,
we're dragging him back with us. They don't go and hit that linesman. No, they do.
It should have been no.
We were dragging him back. He ran 40 yard, didn't he? He ran 40 yard and ploughed to the linesman. So then you got to steward him. What we're on about. We were at Stoke City when a Stoke City fan came on pitch.
Yeah.
He did exactly the same to a United fan. Well, I don't differentiate. No, you got a Sheffield United fan who were being apprehended by police. So they were in police custody. A fan came up and kicked him. Now that fan, if he hadn't been apprehended quick, who's to say he wouldn't have gone and kicked linesman? Because that would have
Sheffield United fan arrested.
Well, you know the reason why they were arrested, because they were on the wayside because they didn't issue enough tickets, which is another point. We pay a lot of money to go to football matches, and to be honest, you've got a new stadium at Stoke, which you would expect facilities and everything that goes with it to be tip-top. And when they run out of tickets, knowing full well there's fans outside, at 3:20, they know full well they're going to go into away end, don't they?
Yeah.
That's one of them things.
I mean, we're going back to fans and taking misbehaving to extreme. No doubt you're enjoying this as Wednesday fans. It's great, Sheffield United fan.
It's not. Sheffield as a whole, doesn't it?
Well,
It reflects on football fans as a whole.
But have we all got that short of memories? We can't remember Wembley. No. Yeah.
Well, when you two played each other.
For wrong reasons.
For all reasons, can you remember Wembley?
One at a time. Okay, what happened at Wembley that gets you so riled?
Well, then they lost 2-1.
They should have been 2-1. What he's referring to is a Sheffield United fan died at Wembley after the game. But the big difference with that is...
As a result of what?
As a result of Wednesday fans fighting with United fans. Now that happens all over Wednesday fans and United fans. What we're on about here is somebody actually going onto the field of play and hitting an official, which is a different thing altogether.
Can I just butt in? Nobody upon nobody is going to condone a fan, whether it's blue, white, red, white, and you're there for grace of God that it's into Wednesday fan as well. I think this is one of the areas where football fans in general should stick together. You're there by grace of God that nobody's done it in a blue and white shirt. Yeah. If you get situations with bad stewarding, etc., Portsmouth, no disrespect to them, it's like a novel run on a shoestring, and scenario is bad stewarding.
An enraged idiot, yes.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. Nobody upon nobody is going to condone what that fan did. I mean, I could stick up for every Sheffield United fan who said that.
I mean, don't you think, you know, that it really is a sad reflection of a football fan? I mean, I'm seriously ashamed to call myself a fan and be associated with someone who does something like that. I think the abuse that we dish out to each other. I mean, we were just talking a bit earlier. You know, football is meant to be our relaxation. It's meant to be people where you go and let off steam and have a laugh and get passionate. But it's not about sort of hurling abuse, life and death abuse at each other.
We all shout at the referee for making it wrong.
There's a difference between. Yeah, it is a release, but when it gets so serious that you feel that you've got to run down there and lay out a linesman, and not just lay him out, but for 5 minutes. I mean, he must have really hit him and meant it.
I said it earlier, you can't condone what the chap did, but I'll also say that when people are paying good money to watch football matches, and basically, unlike any other sport, the threat at times like animals, you're going to throw up an animal, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because like we've been debating here about fans on fans, but I can also say we get put in seats which you won't turn a dog into, and you're paying something like £14. These lads will be paying a lot more for privilege.
It's all right. What if you said then take the other extreme like they had in Rome last year in the World Cup qualifier? If there'd been like police with batons there, would this guy not react the same way? Would he just hit a policeman instead?
He would have just hit a policeman instead.
Well, getting back to this scenario with stewards, you have police, they're relatively well paid, they attract the proper people, educated people to be policemen. Yeah. Or you would think so. Opposed to that, people are invested in stewards. And we said earlier, like, well, what kind of people go and be stewards and all that business? And the reaction you get from stewards, a policeman will, in a lot of situations, take Norwich and Ipswich, where there tend to be more lax. They diffuse a situation. All right, people swear, and this zero tolerance with swearing, what you get at grounds like Sunderland, it's sort of when a steward's dragging a kid out, the reaction is his mates are pulling him, but you get conflict. A policeman is trained to diffuse a bit of conflict.
Whereas stewards aren't. They just don't. I mean, we have at Manchester United, we have this situation where we have our own security there, and they're accused of they're being really heavy-handed. I mean, the Independent Manchester United Supporters Club and the stewards have had this ongoing ruck all season. On that note, we're going to have to wrap this half up, but we'll be back for more very soon.
I'm at Stoke City talking to Kevin Keane.
So
So Kevin, it's been a bit of a tricky time for Stoke this season, but it's been going better for you personally, I think.
Yes, last season I had a few injuries and things didn't particularly go very well, which was disappointing. But this season, I've played in every game and things have not gone bad. But saying that, it's very disappointing with the gaffer just going. But in football, you've just got to get your head up and continue trying to do what you're doing on the pitch.
It does happen, but as a player, is it very easy to stay focused on your own job?
I think it depends a lot on sometimes whether you got on with the manager, the previous manager, how much respect you had for them, things like that. I had a lot of respect for Chick and a lot of time for him, and I can't say too much. I'm disappointed he went, but at the same time, like I say, you've got to put that behind you now. And with Chris Kamara coming, we've got to, I've got to prove to him that I should be staying in the team and do well for him now.
Well, football does move on, and looking around this stadium, I'm old enough to have seen Stoke play at the Victoria Ground, and you are just about as well. Does it make a big difference being able to play football at a place like this?
It's made a bit of difference, yeah. The old ground, Stoke played a bit more of a pressing game and a pressurising game. Having come here, the pitch is a lot bigger, the stadium's a lot bigger. The atmosphere's not quite as intimidating for away teams, I think, and maybe that's a little bit why we've struggled a little bit at home this year. But we've got to just keep going, and it is a big change. But the club's hopefully going places. You can see by the stadium, and just got to keep going.
A little bit about yourself, because you learned your football at one of football's academies, didn't you, at Upton Park?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was great. Had great managers, and John Lyle for most of the time, Billy Bonds and Lou Macari. Had a good coach in Tony Carr, who's still there now in my youth team, and it was a great time. I enjoyed all my 9 years there. Still, Steve Potts is still playing there, who was a good friend, and I hope they do really well. I think they're great. I love the way they play football. Harry's got them playing good football. Berkovic has come in. I think he's been tremendous, and Hartson's getting the goals. And of course you've got Ferdinand at the back. I always look out. That's the first result I look for. That one, and then Wolves, and then having come from Wickham, I always look for Wickham Wanderers as well.
Was it difficult to move out of London for you?
Well, as I just said, I've never come from London. I'm a High Wycombe boy.
But it's still south to us, though.
Yeah, it's south. It is south, but I would say, people from London would say I'm a farmer, coming from Wickham. It was difficult moving up, and I won't say it was easy. I've got a great wife who supports me, and we've got a couple of kids, and we've settled very well now. We live in Lichfield, and I think it'll be difficult to move back now, really. But we'll have to just see. You never know what happens in this game.
And what about the future? Still ambitious?
I'm very ambitious. I'm 31 next month. I've not won a senior honour. I've won a couple of promotions with West Ham, but we never actually won the division to get promoted. So I'd like to win something. I'd like to win something with Stoke, because I think the supporters here have been starved of honours over the last few years as well.
I'm at Hillsborough. Many footballers, when they stop playing, become managers or coaches or even publicans. Today I'm talking to Roger Wylde, the ex-Sheffield Wednesday forward and now a chartered physiotherapist with Stockport County. Did you enjoy your time here?
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was great. I mean, I'd always been a Sheffield United supporter as a kid, but Sheffield Wednesday obviously saw that I was going to turn into a good player and signed me. And yeah, I did. I spent 10 years here, and I enjoyed it very much. Yeah.
And you were, every schoolboy's dream: the striker, the man who scored the goals, the hero. I mean, what's it like having 30,000 plus people, or 40,000 plus people, as it must have been in those days, screaming your name?
Well, not exactly. It was more like about 15, I think, not 40,000. No, it is, yeah. I mean, every schoolboy who wants to be a footballer dreams of scoring goals at a place like Hillsborough and have the crowd sort of chanting your name. Yeah, it was good, and I had a good rapport with the crowd because I think in them days every team used to have a player that was a bit of an individualist and used to be a bit of a showman. I mean, you used to get the likes of Tony Curry, Stan Bowles, Rodney Marsh, and to a lesser extent George Best at that time. They had the shirts out, socks down, longish hair, still got it, and they used to entertain the crowd and be the one that would do something a little bit different on a Saturday.
Which is really important in football, isn't it? I mean, it's not all just about winning; it's about entertaining too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, well, that was my philosophy when I was a player. It wasn't just about winning, although it was nice because you got your bonus. I mean, at the end of the day, that it was a job and you needed to win. But I was a goal scorer, and I used to like scoring. I mean, Gary Megson's my manager now, who at Stockport, and he always takes the mickey out of me saying, well, we lost 4-1, but I scored the one, you know. And to be quite honest, that was the case. I was happy if I scored.
Yeah.
I was even happier if I scored and won.
The game today, do you think it's more physical than it was then?
When I was playing, the game was slower and you had probably more skillful players. And then in the period of the 80s, when Wimbledon sort of came along, I don't know whether Vinnie Jones was there then, was he? Would he have been there at that time? I don't know.
The end of the 80s, yeah.
I mean, they sort of brought speed into it, end of story, that was it. But now, teams realise that you've got to be strong, you've got to be quick, and you've got to have some skill as well.
Do you have any regrets about, the 70s versus the 90s today? I mean, a 90s footballer, he can comfortably retire. If he's in the top flight, he can retire at the age of 30, and that just isn't the case with the players from the 70s, is it?
You did earn decent money. Obviously, it was better than working, and also the hours of a footballer were pretty good. A couple of hours a day, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, at the level that I played at and the clubs that I played with, I would have earned quite a lot of money. And
what do you think you'd have been worth in the transfer market at your peak?
I don't know. It's difficult to say, really. I don't know. I mean, we've got a lad at our place, Alan Armstrong at Stockport.
Yes.
And Alan's probably. Well, I tell you, I don't want to sound big-headed or anything, but people tend to compare me with him at Blackburn. Forget his name now. Sutton, yeah, Chris Sutton. They said I was a similar sort of player to him.
And he went for 5 million 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in today's terms, he's probably worth 7 or 8 million now, as the prices have inflated.
I don't think I would have been worth it. It just seems too much.
You're being very modest.
I went to Oldham from Sheffield Wednesday for, I think it was about 150,000, and which in 1980 was I mean, it was quite a lot of money. And I signed for Oldham, and I thought, I can't understand the chairman. Do you think he could buy 5 Ferraris instead of having me? And that would be much more, much more fun, I would have thought.
You've moved from football to chartered physiotherapy. How did that come about?
Most ex-footballers want to stay in the game if they can. And I mean, I was no exception. I didn't want to be a manager. There's no way that I would ever have been a manager.
Why?
I don't know. I mean,
too much aggravation.
There's a lot. I mean, it's a well-paid job, and there is a lot of hassle with the job and pressure. And you see managers. I mean, I saw managers as a player. They used to get really, anxious on the bench and a lot of stress. And when they used to take you out training and coaching and things, I mean, all I wanted to do was play five-a-side. There's no way. I used to love standing out on the field, playing shadow play and doing set pieces and things. I just wanted to get a ball and play. And I felt that I didn't want to make players, or I would have had to ask players to do things that I didn't want to do as a player anyway. I mean, all right, it's probably necessary at times to do these things, but I didn't like doing them, so I didn't want to be involved in that.
Right.
So.
But physiotherapy is not a normal course for.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at that time. These last few years, I think it's becoming more popular with players because players. I mean, me as a physio now, I know what players need to, you know, what sort of fitness levels they need to get back to before going back into a game, and what their mentality's like and what motivates them. And so I think the footballing background that I had helps me now in my job. Along with the qualification that I've got.
Did you suffer any severe injuries?
Me, I never went into any tattles. I used to keep out of those.
But did anyone tackle you very badly?
No, they couldn't get near me.
Oh, sorry.
No, I used to get. To be quite honest, I didn't know. I used to get muscle injuries because I suppose I was an athlete really.
There have been some fairly high-profile players with long-term injuries. Alan Shearer, Roy Keane, Gazza.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a lot of Lee Sharp at Leeds has got a cruciate knee ligament.
Yeah.
Do you think there are more injuries today than there were in the 70s?
Well, you can't get away from broken legs. I mean, a broken leg is a broken leg.
Yeah.
But you mentioned cruciate injuries and hernias as well. They have become more sort of popular, as it were, or in vogue because people are now able to diagnose them.
Right.
Whereas previously they probably wouldn't diagnose an ACL going back 15 years. They would look at it as a meniscus problem, a cartilage, and they didn't have the means to sort of investigate them further without major surgery.
And so they would have just left them?
And probably players in the past have gone out of the game due to injuries like that being undiagnosed. I mean, I won't say the club, but I went to one club, and the year before, the physio who was the physio at that time had been the groundsman the year before.
Graham Kelly has a picture on his wall of when both teams came out and all the balloons came down and all that passion erupted. And he said, he told us, didn't he? He says that is the most vociferous atmosphere he's ever come across at Burnley, ever. And he's got the picture on his office wall.
It's the first time we've used the grass in the match, and it come off for us. We just couldn't do it all the time, you know. Using the wings, we've got two good wingers, a good centre forward if you can get it to him like.
Welcome back to the Hollybush. I'm still in Sheffield and I'm still with United and Wednesday fans. Now you guys, I mean, do you actually miss the local derby at the moment?
We don't miss it.
No, we don't miss it because if they're not good enough to play us, then they don't deserve to, do they?
No. Do you enjoy when they actually occur though? Is the passion? Do you think that the football passion in Sheffield is immense?
Absolutely.
I think speaking from both sides, you really love it when you win.
Yeah.
That's when you really love it.
Can I just say something there? You hit nail on the passion because we really learned the word passion. I mean, when we played them and won 3-1 at Hillsborough and all them balloons went up, they were awestruck. I've never seen anything like it.
And the banner.
And what do we get? They did exactly the same match after, and that's we learned.
They even had, when we introduced flares to the game, they even bought red flares to copy us.
Wearing them.
So we learned to a bit of passion, and it's nice to see.
They've managed to carry it on, and they've done it.
Thank you very much indeed.
You don't need any.
Because that's caught on and it still goes balloons and flags and flares because they really work, don't they?
Well, they weren't that night anyway. I mean,
every dog has its day.
We're just going back to sanctimonious Wednesday fans again because they're in a league above us.
You're extremely jealous of at the moment.
Extremely jealous. That's all in a nutshell.
But I would rather soon be playing derby matches. Having said that, 5th of May 1990 were really ecstatic for all Blades. When we went up, they went down, we passed each other.
Yeah.
We didn't give a monkeys about derby matches then. But for the city, you should be playing derby matches.
91 when it reversed.
Well, you're right.
When there is a proper
You go down and we go on.
One at a time, one at a time. Hang on.
Take it more from neutral. When there is a proper derby, like for 2 or 3 weeks before the game, like
Fantastic.
at work, you just banter, and like if you lose, you can't go to
People
work.
go missing for
no
weeks.
way.
People go missing for weeks on end afterwards.
You got bets on side bets, and, you know, 5 who are going to beat you and all this like that. So.
I'm going to see a doctor tomorrow. I'm sorry for what, because I'm agreeing with a Wednesday fan. It's not right. And I'm like, taking everything aside, there's nothing finer. There's nothing finer than a Sheffield derby. I mean, we hear about Liverpool derbies, Manchester derbies, which we've been talking about, and Glasgow derby. There's nothing finer than a Sheffield derby. It's so intense. They're superb, aren't
The
they?
passion was shown when they got the semi-final and the FA come up with this ridiculous idea of playing at Ellen Road. I mean, the place at Ellen Road wasn't fit to house a game of that setting.
People power took
and
it to
people
Wembley.
power took that to Wembley. Wednesday United-ites.
You don't have to take it to Wembley. I think you cast your mind back to 3rd division, like, which we don't want to talk about. When you get 2 gates like you got there, what it 46 and 49,000 for 2 games.
Unbelievable.
Boxing Day 79 won it. 4-0 to Wednesday. 49,000.
We were lucky because we were in the steelworks and we were on strike after that, so we didn't have to see any Wednesday final for 14 weeks.
14 weeks, so I meant that to all of them, didn't it?
Never happier to be on strike than then.
It's a goal every 3 weeks. Then
That's the reason we stopped out, actually.
You cannot get more intense than that Sheffield rivalry. Anyway, I'd defy anybody. You know, these Celtic Rangers, you just cannot.
These
get
guys
any
will
more
agree.
intense.
Wembley was. The stewards at Wembley since have said they've never heard
Graham
an
Kelly has
atmosphere,
a-
seen an atmosphere like
Graham
it.
Kelly has a picture on his wall of when both teams came out and all the balloons came down and all that passion erupted. And he said, he told us, didn't he? He says that is the most vociferous atmosphere he's ever come across at Wembley, ever. And he's got the picture on his office wall in the FA.
Fantastic. You must, yeah. Well, that's great to know that football inspires such. Are you pretty pleased with your team this season? I mean, you had an appalling start.
Horrible
You
start.
Couldn't have been. And since the advent of Big Fat Ron.
Are we?
Just shows you how fickle football is, doesn't it?
I mean, he's done all right for you, hasn't he?
He's doing really well. Nobody can deny he's a good manager. Whether he tells the truth or not is another thing. But at the end of the
Do you
day,
care?
You don't care. You don't care at the end of the day if your team's winning.
Yeah.
You don't care. The guy's a good manager. Simple as that. And he certainly turned us round.
Do you think you're safe?
You never say it for you.
No, not yet.
You never. So you mathematically
If they carry on playing like they've done since Ron came, they'll win more than they'll lose.
He has generated a bit of.
He's got an order.
A bit of pride and a bit of respect.
A
Yeah.
bit of respect in the play. The players
Yeah.
seem to be playing for him when they weren't playing under Pleat, were they?
No.
You know, there seem to be players who were
Be
hiding.
I
honest.
mean, you've had a change of manager too this season.
Well, we think, actually, Spackman, to me, is doing a tremendous job.
Yeah.
His first managerial position, he's having to cope with horrendous luck and injuries. A board that can sell us top 2 strikers in one day,
When you're meant to be
it's
going
still
for promotion.
it's still keeping the team in playoff position. We've still got a good chance to get the 6th round at FA Cup, which I believe as colleagues over the city have dipped out last week. So we're still running on 2 fronts there. And for what he's done over the last 6 months since he's been in charge.
It's his first managerial post, isn't it?
And I'd say to the board, or whoever's running the negotiations, give him a contract as a manager because somebody will poach him off like they did Dino. You know?
No, this is one of
and he's just training himself up ready to take over from Fanny Lee.
downsides of being governed by a PLC and things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I do believe that decisions come from top as they do at Newcastle
Actually,
and
I
everywhere
think
else.
the players will see it as a good side because they now get paid, whereas when they weren't getting paid, were they?
I don't know what you mean.
We're having a big problem. I mean, we did read
from
a
our
few weeks
side
on
of
the
things-
trot. Your players
Well,
weren't
but it
getting
won't come
paid.
to Wednesday, would it? Brian Dean.
We want Brian
You
Dean.
do
I'm
want
talking
him.
about your players not getting paid.
Trevor Francis wanted Brian Dean.
He did actually.
He'd never be able to come to Wednesday, would he?
I mean, be honest.
Would he have wanted to? Because
When the
I'm
sack
not denying
Pleat,
lads.
would you have advocated Ron Atkinson coming back? Be honest, I don't know.
No,
you
not.
won't.
No.
You would be.
Now all of a sudden he's a good manager.
Did you want Cleek to go?
No, he's always been a good manager.
I don't think he has.
I think we liked him. He's just
He'd run out of steam.
Cleek had room within the club, but not as team manager. He probably had room. Yeah, there was a position for him somewhere in the club, but probably not as a teammate. He's not motivated.
He's not a man manager. That's his problem. He knows the game inside out. He's got the brains for it all. He knows all the technical stuff, but he's not a man manager.
Well, a sad day for us when he went.
Okay, on that happy note, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks very much.
Start playing it from goal and fucking go wide for him. He's fucking 60 up there, not one of you can hold the bastard ball up. It's on the pitch, his foot.
You can't hold the ball up at the fucking back neither.
We've been under cuss for 45 fucking minutes.
What about that first goal? It's the first time we've used the grass in the match, and it come off for us. We just couldn't do it all the time, you know. Using the wings, we've got two good wingers, a good centre forward if you can get it to him, like.
They're offside. They're offside.
Have you been banned before?
No.
I'm banned now, yeah. And I'm playing because we're short. I'll be short for the end of the season now.
No choice, have you really?
With the other bands coming up. Not really.
The Wylde's against us.
he broke through on his own, Rob.
Oh, I don't know.
Scored the goal and he blew offside for the other side.
I'm taking up knitting after the 6th of the match. A less physical sport like Gaelic football. It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, it's harsher than the football, the FA, if you look at it that way, isn't it? What did Cantona get?
Well, it's supposed about 70 days, doesn't it, or something like that?
With pay, though.
Yeah,
with pay. We don't get paid.
No.
And they expect you to fine 46 quid. And cover your suspension.
I want some cash off you. We'll end up knocking you out. Got it! Got it! Someone
You can tell when I'll pay me sub, Securica will be outside. You're banned as well, yeah? When does that start?
Don't know, I've not seen the sheet. I was expecting a lot more than that.
That's the 13th.
I was expecting at least 40 days banned and a lot more fine. Some crack, please.
You know where to go, don't you?
Get him out! Keep going! Keep going!
You do that next time, lad, you'll be on a deck. Hey, fuck off! Hey, you dirty bastard!
Right.
Alright, lads, come on in.
Hey,
Yeah, it's only an handbag, John. It's only an handbag.
Football, not get blocked like that.
Hey, come on!
Forget it, lads.
See you later, Cocker. Ricky, he's walking. See you later, Cocker. He's walking anyway.
Just excitement, John.
John, just excitement, mate. It's too early.
I'm not having that. Not having the swing. Not having the punch.
Tackles are bad, no, John.
It's alright. It's alright. Let me sort it out myself, right? Right, two of you. Away you go.
Don't turn on it, Tommy, don't turn.
Man, it's taking the ball. Keep Jordan there, man. Play it round him and then fucking carry on.
Lad does.
Get in.
I want to go away. Why have been sent off?
Go away.
Why have we been sent off?
I don't need to give you an
Do
explanation.
you not? Right, we'll see then. When it
Let's
comes
get
out.
on here now. Sort yourselves out, eh?
I'd love to see that film when it comes out because I'll record it and show it. You know what he sent me off for? Probably because I caused it. Come on! Hey, Rob! Told you next week I'll do it.
I love scoring. Nothing I love more than scoring a goal. Gives me a buzz, ball at the back of the net. Because it's all that strain when you're hitting it and you're shooting and it's going wide and the goalie's saving it. When that ball goes in the back of the net, it just all releases out of you.
See you, mate. See ya. How'd go on today, Billy? Got a point out of it. Yeah. Can't get away without the money. Hate it. Cheers, John.
Come on,
go.
Let's talk.
I'm coming in the
just
pub.
turn that on a minute.
I'll come
Don't come in the pub, John.
Right,
Because I don't want to fucking talk to you in the pub.
All right, go away. Technically, you're still on the field of play.
ER League? Fucking what's this? There's another 200 quid it costs to play bastard football on a Sunday. Fucking thanks a lot. Your fucking back that had a quid in it. Fucking great.
What were they after the bag?
The bag, something left it in, should I? I mean, the bag is a big issue.
That's it for this week. Join me next week for even more fantastic football. Do what you want this week, but don't miss the Vinnie Jones Show.